Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Belmont Park here on Friday. It's the 5th of May 2023. Gonna look at the stakes races on the program from Belmont, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And also join me here on YouTube for my Kentucky Oaks preview, my Kentucky Derby preview, and also the 2000 Guineas preview from Newmarket. In general, it's just a good weekend of racing, so I hope you join me for those previews. Great card today from Belmont. Great, even better card, I think, tomorrow from Belmont. It's going to go, a lot of people aren't going to look at Belmont this weekend because of the Derby, but some of those stakes races that they drew for Saturday look very live. Even today, that I think you could make some money with these races. So, we're going to look at the stakes races on Friday's program, races 4 and 8. Let's get to it right now. The fourth race, it is the Sheepshead Bay Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $200,000 purse. Race for fillies, mares, 4-year-olds, and upwards. We have 5 horses going to the inner turf course, the distance of ground of about 2,200 meters, or the distance of ground of about 1.3 miles on the inner turf course. Portable rails are up at 35 feet. You only have 5 horses, and they're either trained by Christophe Clement or Chad Brown, but it's a good group of 5 horses. I think, a lot of these horses are going to come out of this race and do wonders as this division goes on throughout the season. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 4-horse Higher Truth. 4-1-3-5 for me in the superfecta. 4-1-3-5 Super. Top selection to 4-horse Higher Truth. 5-year-old mare by Galileo. Chad Brown trains, and Manny Franco gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the very one at Gulfstream. Mile 3/8 on the 4th of March. First off the refreshing, he finished second by 3/4 length and had a very troubled trip that day between horses. Had to steady a few times, a little bit wide late. He moved, behind Milady late, who closed up from nowhere. This horse ran her hard out there. Coming back to this turf course where she's run very well, seeing forwardly paced, which is very killer on this course, I think she could get the trip to win. 2 back on the 3rd July here at Belmont, a mile 3/8 in her turf and off 62. She won by 4.5 lengths that day, and she stalked that day. A little quicker pace than normal for these inner turf course races at Belmont to that half, but she stalked. She slowly moved her way up. When she got the lead, she quickened up nicely. A very good, race for her, stepping down in class as a confidence builder. A good run there. Prior to that, in October, in the here at Belmont of 2021, a mile and 1/8 in the Sands Point. She finished 3rd by 3/4 length that day. She set the pace. She got caught late. What can you do? She set pedestrian fractions, but she just couldn't keep up there. The winner Fluffy Socks got to her. And then prior to that, the Jockey Club Oaks here at Belmont, a mile 3/8 in her turf course, September 2021. She finished second by a half a length that day. She was on the front end. She got caught by Chantasara late, but again, she ran her hard out there. And then the Belmont Oaks of 2021, or Saratoga Oaks of 2021, she finished second by 3/4 length behind Cone Lima. Cone Lima got the job on her, but this horse, she didn't go down without a fight. Coming to this turf course where she broke her maiden here in April 2021, came back to win an allowance race here in June 2021 quite nicely. I think she's loaded. I think a 5-2, she's a very likely winner. You could definitely, for me, I'm going to single her. But if, watch out for my lady, the 1 horse also. I love the victory in the very one, and the place in the race at Woodbine. I thought she had a very troubled trip. She could definitely win on paper, but she's a bit of a deep closer here. But the deep closers have trouble winning at Belmont on the inner turf course, especially with the rails out. I'm going to take Higher Truth, most likely a single in the pick 4 for me. Pick 6 begins with this race. If you want a single there, you definitely can. But to recap my selection for the 4th from Belmont, it is the Grade 2 Sheepshead Bay. Let's take the 4s. Higher Truth, 4-1-3-5 Super. We'll single the 4 in the multi race. Let's head over to the co-featured 8th race now from Belmont. It is the Westchester Stakes. It's a Grade 3 event going for a $175,000 purse. Race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 8 horses are going 1,600 meters or a mile on the Belmont main track. Years ago, I always remember. I know this race used to be run at Aqueduct years ago, but I always remember it as it being the opening day feature at Belmont when I was a very small kid. 2002, 2003. This used to, if I remember correctly, this used to be the feature in the for the summer meeting on opening day, and if I'm not mistaken, for the September opening day in the fall, it was the MacArthur handicap for New York breds. I think at over like a mile or a mile 16th on the main track, if I'm not mistaken. Some great races and great memories. But my top selection here in the Westchester, I'm going to go with the number 2 horse Expressman, 2738 in the superfecta. 2738 Super, Top Selection Tours Expressman, 4-year-old colt by Liam's Map, Todd Pletcher trains, Kendrick Carmouche gets the mount. Kendrick Carmouche is one of my favorite riders. He always, gets the best out of the horses. Great rider to, here in the New York circuit. Most recently, they ran the horse in the Carter Handicap at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs, 8th of April, and the horse finished third by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He kind of stalked that day. He closed up well with Rigo, Rocks, and Doppelganger late. He needed something more, but he ran his heart out there first time stakes quality horses. Refreshing to the Westchester, not as tough as the Carter. Well, maybe the same quality horses as the Carter last time out. I think he get a trip, and I think he can win. I think the mile is really what he wants to do. 2 back at Gulfstream, 10th of February, a mile in the 8th and optional 25. He won by a head, and he was basically on the front and all throughout. He had to dig in late to get the job done, going a mile in the 8th. He got the job done. Don't think he wants to go a mile in the 8th, but it was a good race there. And then prior to that, 23rd of December at Gulfstream, 1 mile in the optional 25. He finished second by 4.5 lengths. He sat back early after not the best beginnings, a little bit wide, but he was gaining late there. And then a lounge race at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs, 17th of September. Finished second by 2 1/4 lengths. He stalked, he had the lead, he got overtaken late. He just needed the race for the experience. Broke the main over the summer at Saratoga by 7 1/4 lengths from wide poster all throughout wide, and a hand ride late, coming home with a 107 Beyer. That was a very impressive victory. He hasn't shown that Beyer since, but he's always run these sneaky good races. Coming here today to a 1-turn mile, I'm going to give him a shot. I think the 7-horse Zandinge, second likeliest winner, hasn't been seen since the Cigar Mile, where he ran a little bit flat that day. Before that, he ran a good place in the Pennsylvania Derby, closing up from nowhere, and then a very good place in the Jim Dandy. But he hasn't followed the Jim Dandy race, so well. Refreshing here today, might need the race, but he could definitely win it on his quarter, even if he runs a quarter of those races. Also going over the horses, I have my top 3. The 3rd horse, Dr. Ardito. He loves, running against Staybreds. He's facing the Open Company here today, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip, but he has to jump up quite a few numbers here. And your wise guy horse is Repo Rocks. He's either going to run a 115 Beyer here today or finish way out of it. I think this is going to be his biggest test, but he was one of your horses of the winter at Aqueduct. That Toboggan victory was quite impressive at 10-1, but last time out in the Carter, he just was a little bit flat, hitting the wall late. But I prefer the other 3 before him. But to recap my selection for the 8th from Belmont's to co-feature Grade 2 Westchester, we're going to take the 2-horse Expressman, 2738 Super, 273 in your multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And remember to go check out my Oaks and Derby and Guineas preview here on YouTube. Good luck, everybody.